Hello to my English 10 American Literature students. We are coming to the end of our journey with To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. And today I am going to walk you through one of our culminating final activities. Whose cell phone is this? So you will, of course, be inside classroom underneath the topic of To Kill a Mockingbird. You will open Whose cell phone is this? And you will see that there are various items located inside of this. The first thing you should do is read all three of these instructions to yourself. Then you should go ahead and scroll to this document right here. You'll open that up and you will notice there is a table with some instructions. Now would be a good time for you to pause this video and just take a quick scroll through this document. So at this point, you should have paused me long enough to read through everything. I am going to highlight a couple of areas, verbally highlight a couple of areas so that I can call attention to them for you. Right up here in the taskbar, you will see that you are required to complete a cell phone activity for 2 characters from your choices. However, if you decide to complete a 3rd character, you will earn extra credit. So let's scroll through this together. You will see you have points possible all the way down to a grand total of 80. And obviously, if you divide that in half, that is 40 points per character, which means if you decide to complete a 3rd character choice for this activity, you will earn an additional 40 points. You would actually earn a grand total of 120 points out of 80. And that could really give some scores a nice cushion before we get into the essay and the end of the semester. So you want to make sure that you are looking at each of these items and what exactly it is that you need for each character, which of course I will explain in just a moment. And then you will look here to see what your choices actually are. You have choice number 1 or column 1, choice number 2 or column 2. So let's look together to see how it is that you are supposed to handle these 2 columns. First, you need to choose a character from each column. And then you're going to notice that you can choose a character from either column for your extra credit character. It just obviously cannot be a character you've already used. And then you need to highlight the names that you have selected. So let's just pretend for a moment that I decide I know exactly which 2 characters I'm going to work on. One is Mayella Ewell. So I go ahead and I highlight her in my favorite color, green. That's column 1 or choice 1. And then in column 2 or choice 2, I decide to go ahead and work with Arthur Boo Radley. And I highlight him in my favorite color as well. And then I finish the project and I still have some time. So I go back and I decide I am indeed going to work on a 3rd character. And the 3rd character I would like to use is Mrs. DeBose. And I'm going to highlight her in a different color simply because she's my extra credit character. You don't have to highlight in a different color, but it does help both you and I to keep track of different things that are important to us so that we understand where we are in this process. So you can see here, I have chosen Mayella Ewell to be character number 1. Choice number 1, Arthur Boo Radley is choice number 2. I will now go back into my classwork tab. I have already read this document in its entirety. I understand exactly what it is that I need to do here, but I still need to look at a sample to make sure that I understand what to include. So I am going to click here on my Scout example. And when I open up my Scout example, I'm going to see that this is just one page for the example. And there are some instructions that are written. And this student who decided to do this wrote his or her ink in red So you'll see in just a moment where you'll be able to do that on your own worksheet. You have, first of all, the wallpaper. So you are going to pretend that this is Scout's cell phone. What picture do you think Scout would have on her wallpaper? And in this case, this is a photo of her and her father, Atticus. Now, what's very important is that this student inserted this image, and then right here in this area, explained why he or she chose that image. Now you have some options. You can either go online and find an image that you feel your character would have on his or her cell phone, or you can sketch an image. I'm sure some of you are artists, and that would be fantastic. Take a picture of that image with your own phone, upload it into the project. You are welcome to do that. If you are actually talented enough and savvy enough to sketch or draw the image using artistic tools on your computer, you're welcome to do that as well. But again, the biggest part of the wallpaper portion of the assignment is that you are able to not only select an image, but that you are able to explain why that character has that image. So if I'm working on choice number one, and my choice number one is Mayella Ewell, clearly I am going to want to find a picture that makes sense for Mayella to have on her phone. Just like over here, Arthur Boo Radley, same thing. I'm going to have a picture for Arthur Boo Radley. Continuing on with my Scout sample, I want you to notice that over here, this says email. But when you complete the actual assignment, you are going to notice that you are actually dealing with text messages. And I will get into that in just a second so that this makes sense to you, okay? So once again, going back to my Scout example, we are going to pretend that she has received 2 emails. You're going to explain what those messages are within this area, what the messages are, and why those messages have been sent. But again, in your case, your character's receiving text messages, not emails. Then along this side of the screen, you are going to see that in this particular example, we have a playlist. So for Scout, what are 3 songs that she would enjoy listening to? Who are they by? And then the biggest part of the assignment, the explanation. Why is it that Scout would be listening to those 3 songs in particular most recently? So let me take you into the documents that you are going to complete. If you stay with me, you will notice this first document, when I hover over it, the tag that pops up says character number 1. I will open this up. Now, it is very possible that your worksheet is going to automatically open with Kami. If it doesn't, you're going to see something at the top right or right up here at the top center that tells you to open the document with Kami. So you want to first click on that so that you can make adjustments and changes to the document using the Kami program. Now, what you will notice is that I have taken the time to already put character number 1 right here, okay? And again, that's so you can keep track of which worksheet you are completing at the time. Let's pretend for a moment that I am currently working on Mayella Ewell. When I go here along the left side of my screen, I have a whole bunch of different controls that I can use to alter this document. You're not going to be using all of them, just a couple of them. So first things first, I would go ahead and I would grab the text box right here, the letter T. And if I click on this little painter's palette, I get a whole slew of colors that I might decide to use. And so I'm going to color code with different characters. That's something that makes a lot of sense to me. And for Mayella, because Mayella really enjoys taking care of her flowers, I'm going to go with the color purple. So I've chosen purple as my text box, which means right up here where my cursor is, it's going to get hidden behind this number bar, and I'm so sorry about that, or this directions bar. I'm actually going to grab it and bring it down for a moment, and I am going to type in capital letters, Mayella Ewell, okay? I am then going to, inside here, oh, I want to do her entire name. I'm going to highlight her name, and I'm going to make it bold, all right? And I am then going to make it a bigger font so that it really stands out and move it back up here. Once I click off of there, I can see her name right there above the phone. I might even decide to go ahead and center it so that I understand this is my character number 1. So at this point, I know my first character is Mayella Ewell, and I am going to go, I want to take care of her wallpaper right away. So I'm going to click along the left side of my screen, and I am going to find this button, which says Add Media. Now, before I click that, I would also like to point out that you do have this button here, which is Drawing. So if you decided for whatever reason that your wallpaper perhaps needs to have a particular flair, a particular style, you might decide to use the drawing tool and insert images that you draw using those tools. I am not an artist, so I am going to use this media button. I click on the media button, and you can see I could get something from my computer, something from my drive. If I click on the G, it is a Google image search. This is going to take me to the internet. I am going to type in red geraniums because Mayella loved her red geraniums, and she took very good care of them in different pots around her house. So just to make this easy and to save us some time, I'm going to click on this particular picture. I like that one. I'm going to select it. And now Cami is telling me to click to drop. So I like it here, I drop it. But that's obviously taking up a huge amount of space. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this blue dot, and I'm going to make it smaller. I've got different, tools that I can use. I can crop where I can actually pull, elongate this. And so wherever I decide to position this, however big I decide to make this with my blue dot, there is my picture of my red geraniums. And then over here in this area, I now need to insert a text box that explains why I've chosen those pictures. So I will once again go to the left side of my screen. I will click on text box. And since I have decided that Mayella's color is purple, I will click my text box here, and I will type all of my reasons for selecting red geraniums. Oops. Okay. And what's really great is I can grab this, I can move it, I can hit the enter key, keep typing, et cetera, et cetera. So you will put your reasons, your support in this particular area. You will then do the exact same thing here, where again, I had told you that you are going to have 2 messages that this character has received from other characters in the book. You could even label it, here's message number 1 and the reasons, and then here's message number 2 and the reasons, so on and so forth. Finally, you're going to go here to the playlist, and you are going to list inside the text box song number 1 with the artist, song number 2 with the artist, song number 3 with the artist. But again, just like we saw in our Scout example, it is extremely important that you provide the reason. You must provide the reason. You cannot just provide the song title and the artist. As soon as you are done, it is very important to go right up here to the top and see this looks like an old floppy disk. Some of you might know what that reference is, but this is, of course, back in the days of computers using outside equipment to save your documents and not using the internet. So you want to click on this right here where it says save. And once I do that, I can go ahead and choose where I want it to save. The best thing for you to do is to just click save now. And once you do that, it will, of course, save everything that you've been working on so that you can go back to it later and make sure that you are good to go, that you have no problems with it. Now, this is key. I am finished with Mayella and these areas. I'm going to scroll down to the next phone. I am still working on character number 1. Watch very closely. Right here, I have wallpaper and email, but look what this says. Look what this says. On this page, you are completing only the search history section for this character. Because you have already included wallpaper and text messages, when you go to the next phone for the same character, you are now going to complete just the search history. And the search history, as you can see, is 3 well-known school-appropriate websites. So you would ask yourself, what kinds of websites would Mayella or whichever character visit? So I would number them. And I would actually put the name of the website right next to each number, okay? So I'm just going to pretend, flowers.com. And then I would explain, she visited flowers.com because she loves red geraniums and she really wants to take care of them, et cetera, et cetera. So as long as you provide at least one sentence as to why your character has visited each website, you're in good shape. Just like you are providing one sentence as to why each of these songs has been chosen. You will continue to scroll down the list and you will now notice we are on to the 3rd cell phone for the same character. Again, on this page, you are completing only the movie playlist section for this character. So over here, we need 3 film titles that would likely be on this character's playlist. So once again, I have my text box ready to go. I have movie number 1, movie number 2, and movie number 3. And it is imperative that you write the movie and one sentence minimum as to why that character would be so excited or into that particular film. And it can be a film that came out last month, or it can be a film from 50 years ago. It honestly does not matter, but you are matching a film to how well you know the character in the book. So when you are done with character number 1 and you click save right up here at the top, you then go back inside Classroom and you move on to character number 2. And you do the exact same thing. You open with Cami. Now, on my particular example, I had chosen Mayella Ewell, but now she's done. And now I'm looking at Arthur Boo Radley. He is character number 2. And I now need to choose his colors, so on and so forth. But you will notice it's the same thing. This first page, you're filling out all 3 areas. The next 2 pages, right here, only his search history. And then finally, only his movie playlist. And then if you decide that you want the extra credit, you will then go in and open up character number 3. And right at the top is the note, remember, this one is extra credit. You cannot earn credit for character number 3 unless you complete characters 1 and 2. So if I decide to open this with Cami, and I once again look at who I highlighted Mrs. DeBose. Mrs. DeBose, again, is very cantankerous. I don't like her as a person, but I like what she adds to the story. That's why I love using her as an example. I'm going to use the color red for Mrs. DeBose because she is so incredibly, angry and whatnot. But my teacher has written instructions up here, so I'm going to put a text box right here, and I will write Mrs. DuBose. Okay. Oh, how about if I spell her name correctly? That would be a great idea. I am once again going to make her name bold so that it really stands out. I'm going to keep her name a size 16 font, and I will put her right here at the top of the phone, and I can now go ahead and do all the other things I need to do. On this first worksheet, all three areas, a picture, text messages, and a playlist of songs. And then on the next worksheet, just her search history, and then finally, just her movie playlist. Each and every time clicking this little save button at the top right corner. Always make sure you do that. Once you're done, you will have everything saved inside of your documents. And at that time, you can go ahead and you can click upload, submit, turn in, and you are all set. You will notice, of course, that we've launched this today, and you have one solid week to work on this. And a lot of that time is going to be during class, so that when you are live and in the moment, you'll be able to ask me questions. You might even be able to meet with me in a breakout room or share your screen with me so that I can see how you are progressing, because this is another way for us to collect copious amounts of evidence so that you will have great success writing your 3-paragraph essay at a later date. I wish you the best of luck, and I cannot wait to see your Whose Cell Phone Is This projects.